Hey guys, John Haddock here. Welcome back to Think About Comics, and today I want to talk about Judge Dredd Case Files Volume 1. This is a graphic novel collection. It collects a bunch of Judge Dredd stories. There's a ton of these volumes out. I'm only going to talk about Volume 1 today, and in the future I'll talk about other volumes that I have. So if you're not familiar with Judge Dredd, he's basically a cop in the future, a dystopian, apocalyptic future. He's judge, jury, executioner, and he gives judgments right there on the spot, including death. This is case file number 1. These contain progs 2 to 60, and the years are 2099 to 2100. The interesting thing about the Judge Dredd storylines is that he ages in real time. He's just like the Hellblazer books, and just like Garth Ennison's Punisher run. He debuts in 2000 AD Comics, and it was basically a monthly magazine in Britain that you would get once a month, and it would have, stories from him, Rogue Trooper, and a couple offbeat heroes and characters that British Comics would create. So you would get collections of short stories from different characters, and that's what this is. It collects the short stories, and in this we get to see his twin brother Rico Dredd and how he deals with him, and Rico coming back off of Titan. We see him deal with biker gang, a killer car, a couple robots, some like Mysterio tech that uses hallucinations. So it's kind of hokey. This is 1977. It is pretty violent though for a comic that came in the 70s. The art's pretty great. It is in black and white. Let me see if I can get some. It looks a lot like if you remember the Marvel Essentials collection when they did that. It feels and looks a lot like that. But the difference is, these comics were printed in black and white. And I don't think they come into color until like volume 11 or 12. But these are relatively cheap. You can get them online for even cheaper. The retail price is $19. You can get, I've seen them on eBay. I checked the other day before I did the video. They're like 12, 15. If they're pre-owned, they're $5, $8. Some of these stories are incredible. If you like the Stallone movie, I'd stay away from it. If you like the Carl Urban movie, this captures that grit, that look, and that feel of what Dredd is. And you can explores a lot more of the Dredd lore, the Dredd Mega City 1, the side judges, all of those different characters, and more in depth than that hour-and-a-half long movie was able to. Real cheap, super fun read if you like the old school comics and that. If you don't, maybe I'd say start at volume 7 or something. And I say that because these are all short stories. They're kind of episodic. No one's, follows the same beat. There's a couple storylines that do follow it. I know Volume 2 does Cursed Earth, ABC Wars, stuff like that, where it's the same storyline spread out through, short stories. And these stories are only, 5, 6, maybe 10 pages at the most. So it's, it's very cut and dry. It's Dredd shows up, deals with a riot. Dredd shows up, deals with a bank robbery. Dredd's brother escapes prison, shows up at Dredd's house, bam, climax, they fight, and that's the end of it. So it's very cut and dry, gets to the point. They're not building on a whole lot of story. You see just the aspects of what Dredd is. He's just a cop. He's not a superhero, and that really brings to what this is. He feels vulnerable at a lot of times. He's not really a big muscular guy either. He's drawn very thin. Nothing's like superimposed to where he stands out among his other judges. Some of the judges that are in this book are actually a lot muscular, a lot bigger than him, and kind of tower over Dredd. But it's, his tactics, his knowledge, and his ability to, judge, no pun intended, the situation and go from there. What else can I say about this book? It can be a boring read. Sometimes there's definitely some stories. I know the one with the killer car. It's a little wacky. This is still the 70s. Take that into effect. Some of these stories are good. I know Volume 3, once I finish that, I'll do a video on that. You get to see Judge Death and the Dark Judges. That's a phenomenal storyline. I really enjoy the art. I know I've shown it earlier. If you haven't read Judge Dredd before, you're new to the character, this is a great place to start. I will say this, if you go online to get it, there's 2 versions of this. This is the US version. There's an English version, It's not as so much wide. It's a little taller, and the background design is like all red, and they base it off of colors like blue, green, stuff like that, and it will say, you know, case volume, you know, 1, 2, and 3. The American ones are basically his face zoomed in, but it's drawn differently to show, you know, different characters or how different artists drew him. Because Dredd was in black and white, a lot of artists drew him as a different ethnicity because, you know, it was black and white, you could get away with it, and a lot of artists took liberties and had fun with the character. And it works well because he doesn't play to any kind of certain role. He's just, you know, Judge Dredd. He is the law. That's really it for Judge Dredd Case Files. If you want it, give it a read, look it up, get it. Super cheap, super fun read if you like the movie. If you want to learn more about the character, he's one of those characters, there's not a whole lot of stuff about him. He's kind of an offbeat guy, doesn't get the recognition he deserves. Check him out. Stay tuned to Think Comics. Support your local comic book shop. Give a like, give us a subscribe, and thanks, guys, for checking us out.